Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level.
What's up, world, and welcome back to Codename Morpheus. We've been away, and now we're back. Episode 21. We can legally drink now. And so how's your time away been? Because we've had we've been off for holidays and 24-hour streams and you being sick and all kinds of stuff. So how you feeling?
It's been aight.
Been aight?
It's aight.
Okay.
Playing lots of video games, playing lots of VR, hanging out with people, family, friends, all that kind of stuff. Family came in town obviously for Christmas, so
yeah.
Could hang out with mom, dad, grandma, sister, brother.
Good time?
Everybody.
Cousins. How's your brother?
He's 18.
He's 18? Is it weird?
No.
No, it's not weird.
No, it's actually quite interesting because we get along better now than we did when he was younger. Just
most siblings
because the age gap is less.
Hate your
it was funny.
brother.
So we went to dinner at a nice fancy restaurant. I got off work, went to dinner with them, and he has a gaming computer that has a VR. It's VR ready. He does not have a VR headset yet. But we were talking about all this kind of stuff, and my mom's like, "Can you two stop talking so we can have a conversation with everybody?" And we're like, "We're having a conversation. You used to yell at us when we wouldn't get along. Like, what's happening here?" But we were having super nerdy conversations about USB 3 ports and VR headsets and video games on computers because he's definitely a PC guy.
Good for him.
He got a nice PC for college.
Sweet.
For college.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to school for video production, so he needed a beefy computer.
Just so happens to be.
That was the other thing we talked about, a lot of video stuff. It's quite interesting how similar he is to me, which I never thought I would say that because he's similar to you in Call of Duty. He loves Call of Duty.
Good. Get him on my team. I need a team.
He has Xbox.
No, fuck that. All right. Anyway, welcome back. If you do not know at this point in time, my name is Tom, and this is my buddy Keegan, and we're here to tell you all about the news, sales, spotlight, and all kinds of other shit about PSVR this week on Codename Morpheus, our weekly dip into the world of the virtual.
It's 2018, first episode 2018.
It is, first episode of 2018.
And our audio is better than last week.
Our audio should be way better. Apologies for last week. Our microphones just
Or 2 weeks ago.
work.
Was that 2 weeks ago? I don't remember.
I know, maybe, I don't know.
I don't.
So anyway, they work better now, and we're back on track.
We turned the power on, literally.
We're ready. Yeah,
as He-Man would say, I have the power. Phantom power, that is.
Yeah. So, welcome back. First of all, thank you. Again, I'd say it every week, I feel, but there's been so much traction for the VR content on the channel. We love it. We love you guys. Thank you so much for the support so far. It really does mean the world to us. I can say that because I can't talk about new games this week because there aren't any, so it's a bit of a time filler for you. But yeah, so no new games this week or last week. It's been I've been jonesing.
Christmas is over.
I know.
Christmas is over, the goose is getting fat. That's not how the song goes.
It doesn't sound like it would go like
something. Something. Da 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 da. Goose is getting fat.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
So no new games for the last 2 weeks. So not a whole lot going on in the world of VR, except for a couple little trinkets that I managed to squeeze from
news was not easy to find.
It's not been an easy couple weeks.
Both of us this week.
Mostly because
Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. Not Christmas is over.
All right.
Opposite.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Cool.
Mostly because all of our news sources are kind of covering end of the year stuff,
or they're on vacation,
or like r/PSVR is just bombarded with new owners that are just sort of taking up the top page with Skyrim is awesome, and that's great, and we love it. So I'm not going to complain.
Skyrim sucks.
You're the worst. So sales.
Skyrim.
Let's get right into
Actually,
that.
Skyrim's all right.
Skyrim's really good.
Skyrim's all right.
It's really good. So no new games, but there is sales this week, and there's a hell of a lot of them. You may remember we went through a gigantic sales list the other week. Now, if I was a good boy, I would have actually gone through and we would have cross-referenced what we did the last time.
I yelled at him this morning because
he did tell me to do
hey,
that.
some
I
of these
did
are the
refuse
same.
to do it because I'm lazy.
He makes the same note every week versus me. You're like, why do you make a new note every week? Prime example.
Yeah, but I don't.
Calling you out on your shit, mister.
2,000 notes. I don't like filling
is
it
Eve
up.
Valkyrie going to release something?
Shut up. So
that's a throwback to April Fool's joke.
Anyway, so that being said, let's go through sales. I'm going to go fast, and I would say stop me if I'm going too fast, but you don't have that ability.
Do you know how to put you know how to put a timer inside of Final Cut? Do you? I was going to time you and be like, and go.
I'm going to be pretty good. So,
Start.
essentially, the holiday sale is going strong in its
Last
fourth week. It's the last week of the holiday sale. Now, they have kept up some of the previous PSVR games that were on sale before, and they've obviously added to it. Most notably, it seems like Ubisoft has got on board the VR sale train.
Ubi.
So,
Not Ubi, it's Ubi.
I used to call him Ubi.
Yeah, but it's
I don't
U.
like Ubi. It sounds like
that's what it is. It's Ubi. It's French. It's Ube.
Yeah, Ubi.
Ubisoft.
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 Anyway,
I am Ubisoft.
here's your fucking sales. Smashbox Arena 4 from 20. Star Trek Bridge Crew 25 from 50.
Pick that shit up.
Spark 15 from 30.
Haven't played it.
Batman Arkham VR 12 from 20.
It's aight.
End Space 8 from 20.
Never played it.
Resident Evil 7 24 from it says 30, but I'm pretty sure it's I guess
60?
maybe it has dropped in price. I don't know. 24 from 30. No,
No, 24
I'm
from
wrong.
60 because
It's 30 from 60.
Yeah.
I wrote that down wrong. My
Yep.
bad. It's
Tom
30
loves
from
that
60.
game. He doesn't know how to type.
Resident Evil 7 Season Pass, 24 from 30.
What's that include?
There you go. The Season Pass, I believe, has the banned footage 1 and 2, and End of Zoe, and Not a Hero.
That is banned as in BANNED, not banned as in BAND. Not music banned.
Correct.
It's as in
Yes,
like not
banned
allowed.
As in not allowed. And
Yes.
the banned footage
I would
volumes
love
are
if-
basically like 3 or 4 experiences in one.
Can we
bundle.
make Resident Evil banned footage?
Sure. We need to form a band first.
Oh, I can make one. I used to
Make
be
a
in one.
scary band. Darknet 750 from 15.
Never played it.
Eve Valkyrie Warzone 15 from 30.
All right, makes you sick.
Heroes of the Seven Seas 350 from 7. Mortal Blitz 10 from 20. Moto Racer 4 10 from 40. Now that's a big drop, and that's why I put it in here, especially because it's not really a VR game. It has VR bits in it.
It's kind of VR.
And the VR bits are really good. I will point that out.
Do you love the VR bits?
People shit on Moto Racer 4 and
Do people shit on your VR bits, Tom?
go away. People shit on Moto Racer 4, but honestly, the VR stuff is not bad because, like, I originally thought, like, I don't want to play a bike game in third person in VR, but it's not. The VR is first person motorbike, so it's not too bad. Perfect is 5 from 10. Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin 10 from 20.
If you're a Psychonauts fan, pick that up. It's awesome.
Sneaky Bears 10 from 20. Time Machine VR 1650 from 30.
Another one to pick that shit up.
Ancient Ambulator 10 from 20. 1710 from 30 is Archangel, which
love
I
that.
highly recommend. Arizona Sunshine 20 from 40.
Meh.
Battle Zone 1360 from 40.
He likes it, I don't.
Bloody Zombies 750 from 15.
Don't know.
Dying Reborn 1 from 10. Eagle
I
Flight,
think it's $1. I love.
why not?
It's $1.
Eagle Flight 1480 from 40.
Intrigued.
Which is the first time in a while Eagle Flight's been on sale.
Yes.
So let's
Digitally.
hope that boosts up the player base a bit.
Digitally on sale.
Yeah, because they like.
Do you like my commentary in between each time you say something?
enjoying it.
Okay,
You're
cool.
doing well.
Just want to make sure.
Light Tracer 12 from 15.
I have it, but haven't played it.
Paranormal Activity 20 from 40.
Scary as fuck.
Paranormal Activity is really good for you folks who like Resident Evil. I'll put it out there as probably my second favorite horror game to Resident Evil.
Scary as fuck.
Soul Dimension 250 from 5. Surgeon Simulator 680.
Disturbing as hell.
Really weird. Tethered 10 from 15.
It's alright.
The Assembly 12 from 30. Viri
Arrived.
VR 4 from 10.
Meh.
VR Ping Pong 6 from
Hell yeah.
15. Waddle Home 2 from 10.
Great puzzle game.
Weeping Doll 1 from 10.
Scary.
Werewolves Within 15 from
Great
30.
social experience.
Ace Banana 150 from 15.
Monkeys. Like, I don't. Monkeys.
It's like, what do you got for this one?
Monkeys.
Bound 7 from 20. Again, that's a both experience. You can do the whole game in VR, but you can also do it.
Whimsical VR.
Don't Knock Twice is probably the third best horror.
But shake it 3
experience
times
I've
for playing
had.
with
That's
yourself.
10 from 20. Manifest 99 4 from 6. Merville's VR Adventures 10 from 20.
Yeah.
Pixel Gear 110 from 11. Raw Data 28 from 40. Sports Bar VR 8 from 20.
I wanna play that.
Static 12 from 20.
That's good.
Tekken 7 30 from
No.
60, or Deluxe 46.75
No.
from 85.
Don't Tekken for VR.
Again, that's like, don't
Yeah,
get it
don't
just
Tekken
for
for-
the VR.
don't Tekken
Like,
for
if you want
VR.
Tekken, then it's a good deal.
Yes.
Unearthing Mars 450 from 15,
Never
and that's
played
a lot. Wasn't too bad.
No.
It was like ripping off a Band-Aid.
It's like
But-
it's like ripping out a bad fart after Taco Bell.
Or that. There was a
You're
lot
relieved when it's done.
in there, as you may have noticed, and so like I kind of really am like proud of Sony for doing this, because I feel like they are absolutely capitalizing on this Christmas market of people that picked up PSVR, and there's so many people now that are going to get access to these great experiences on the cheap. So yeah, I'm really super pumped that they still have like a metric ton of VR games on sale, and hopefully it breeds
You know what they
life
don't
into
have
the
though?
multiplayer games.
Don't have a megaton.
They don't have Megaton Rainfall. They
Yeah.
should. That'd be a good one for sale. That's one of my my favorite VR games. So that being said, time to move along to the news, and we have some great news. But the first piece of news,
We have some
is not
great news. Somebody's
necessarily
dead.
that great. Yes.
There's some great
So,
news. He's dead.
This is a discussion that we've had post. Even having Codename Morpheus, post even having leveled to VR show, like pre all of that, we had a couch conversation about this, about what happens when someone
dies.
takes VR too far, or someone dies or mentally snaps or whatever it is, because we were sort of nervous about the idea of virtual reality, and because at the time we really didn't know what to expect at all. So VR glasses blur reality, leading to death blow for Moscow resident. So yes,
That's
this
a
is the
sensationalized
first,
title.
It is, but this is the first death related to VR. It's not really VR's fault, but related to VR. So let's talk about it. So according to preliminary information, the man tripped and crashed into a glass table while moving around the apartment in virtual reality glasses. So again, it's not like the VR made him go nuts.
Suffered wounds and died on the spot from loss
He
of
just
blood.
wasn't paying attention.
So-
and fell into a coffee table.
What I would say in this instance, because when I move my coffee table, when I play VR, I move that shit out of the way.
Yeah.
And I also do the peeky-boos. Do you that's what I call it? When you take the thing and you look underneath, make sure you realize where you are in your room.
I don't really stand up a whole lot.
That's
playing
true.
VR, so I don't have to
I'm
worry about
a
it.
stander.
I only
you're a
stand
sitter.
up if I feel like I have to, like swinging my arms.
Can I trademark the word peeky-boos, by the way?
Sure.
I do the peeky-boos. But I do that when I'm playing, prime example, the one that I probably get the most turnaround in is Rec Room, because you're up moving a lot.
Yeah, I do. I
And-
do actually get turned around.
And I look out and I'm like, I am facing the complete wrong direction. But no, with the coffee table, that's just him not being. I get it. I don't know how big his
Not
living
being aware
space
of his
is.
surroundings.
That's one of those things. Like the way my living room is set up. Like when I have people over for VR, my coffee table is literally out of the living room because it's shin height. It'll take you down without realizing it.
Shit.
Because like
Kick you in the shins.
yeah, it hurts.
So this happened on December 22nd. So I'll go through a little bit of the news story just so we add some context to this rather than just headlines.
He didn't do the peeky boos. That's what happened.
So, a Moscow resident suffered fatal wounds while moving around his apartment in virtual reality glasses. Senior assistant to the head of the Russian Investigative Committee's main Moscow department, that's a fucking mouthful,
You didn't even get to the name
Yulia
yet.
Ivanova said, according to her, the 44-year-old man's body was found on Thursday in his home in Marshal Zhukov Avenue. According to preliminary information, while moving around the apartment in virtual reality glasses, the man tripped and crashed into a glass table, suffering wounds, and died on the spot from a loss of blood, Ivanova said. A probe has been launched into this incident in order to establish all of the
Probe.
details.
They're gonna probe him.
So let's respect the poor guy. But 44 years old is kind of weird. I imagine like a 44-year-old Russian dude jumping around his apartment playing VR. But it's sad nonetheless.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's not VR's fault, obviously. I mean, obviously he's blind because he had it on, but also like you said, like
Dude,
be aware of your
peekaboo.
fucking surroundings, dude.
Yeah.
Peekaboo. But just a kind of a nice reminder out there that if you do get carried away in VR, and most of us do,
I mean,
that you should be aware of your surroundings.
I don't know how, because obviously I'm not inside your head when you play VR, but like when I'm playing VR, I'm very self-aware of where, like to a certain extent, of where I am. There's moments you get lost in the game, and I get that. But like especially my TV, like those aren't cheap. Especially nowadays, I paid over $1,000 for mine back in the day. Don't want to break that shit.
Right.
So like I
Put
said,
your wrist straps on.
I do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was. Taylor came over, Beth's wife came over and played Fruit Ninja, and she loaded up, and I was like, "Oh, hold up," because I love you, but this is not going to end well if you don't have these wrist straps on.
Yeah.
But no, I feel bad for the dude. Fell. Sounds like he hit his head.
I think he just like cut himself up and lost a ton of blood, so I imagine he maybe like nicked an artery or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
On the glass table.
sad story to come out of Moscow.
Get your table out of the way.
But yeah, but a good reminder for everyone.
Well, that's like Vive has the actual peekaboo on the on the headset where you can see what's around you. It's really cool.
That's
why also I tell people like because if people aren't aware for VR, I tell people when the screen goes black, like Shelby was playing the Shark Encounter and she would go back and was out of the play space. I go, if it goes black, that means you're
Yeah.
You're not where you were initially.
The wrong thing.
Yeah, you're somewhere else. So that's another thing to remind people and to keep in mind that if your play space goes a funny color, it goes black, it's not you passing out, hopefully. it's the screen saying, hey, you need to figure out where you're at.
I tend to grind myself somehow, so like, you know, I have
legs
a small
against the
basement,
couch.
so yeah, I have calves against the couch rule, where basically if I'm playing stood up, I try and keep my calves pushed against the couch behind me, therefore I always
See,
know where I am.
I'm the opposite. I tell people to free roam, like, but I also have a little bit more room than you do.
Right.
So like that's the other thing is like, but if I'm doing that, I'm especially with other people, I'm aware of like where they are, and I'm like, oh, hold up, let's adjust you here. Like again with Taylor, she slowly was moving to the left. I grabbed her and literally just said, hey, take 2 steps this way and you'll be fine.
I sometimes worry about my dogs.
Yeah.
Because they tend to lie down behind me when I'm stood up playing VR, like where I would be sat down. So
Yeah.
I'm worried that like something will jump and I'll like sit on one or something. So
You'll know. They go, "Bah!"
be very wary of your surroundings.
You
your
should
pets,
be wary
and
of your dogs while you're playing VR too.
especially glass tables. So moving on, we got some news out of the guys that put together Out of Ammo and Castle Storm VR, and also Zen Pinball, the FX, I think it's 2 or 3, the VR one.
FX2.
Yeah, thank you. Those guys decided to post some tips on their games, which I thought was kind of cool.
Hey, the PlayStation blog values my opinion, Tom.
That's great.
No thanks.
So the developers had a word with the PlayStation blog, and they basically gave some words of wisdom on some of the games that they already have released, and they also were talking about Out of Ammo, which is their next one coming up. By the way, if you pre-order Out of Ammo VR, which is coming out on January 30th, you will receive Castle Storm VR for free. So you do get a free game if you pre-order it, which is, I think, like, I'm not big on like pre-ordering, but I think if you're going to give me a free game, then that definitely like makes me more inclined to do it.
Well, it's like South Park did that, but
yeah, and that's the reason why I bought the new set.
But ironically, South Park, that thing is still going on. You can still go to the store and buy it with Stick of Truth.
That I did. Yeah, I bought it after the release, but still.
That was supposed to be a pre-order bonus, but the game got pushed so many times. I think they kind of like, fuck it.
So here's some fun bits of news for you. So we got Zen tips. Turkey for everyone. If you can't bring down the unstoppable golem who's battering your gate, then load your turkey elixir into the catapult and smash it into his rock face. Berserkers or wolves are very fond of turkeys, so spawn in some of them to follow up. The results will be funny. Good hunting. This is for Castle Storm, by the way, I think. Royal architecture. Your castle can never be too large. Build multiple rooms of your favorite troop type and ensure that a lucky stone from your opponent doesn't disable the production of your army. The safest area of your castle is in the bottom part on the far side from your foe. And then as far as infinite mini golf, which is another thing that they put up here. If you see the fly, indicated with a ball with wings, and the heavy, a big dumbbell, power-ups bunched up, that means you'll have to make a very precise landing. Make sure to activate the flying power-up right before picking up the heavy, then when you see your target, press the button again, and the weight of the ball will pull you down right away. And then we got some tips for Pinball FX2 VR. During a monster battle on Epic Quest, an actual pinball RPG, there are a few things to keep in mind. Pay close attention to the health of the monster and your own. These are indicated left and right of the flippers. A timer will go down indicating when the monster will attack. If you shoot the sword ramp, you'll hit him and the timer will reset. If you are a daring knight, hitting the smash target will land a critical hit, but will not reset this timer, so you may end up with a dent in your armor. And then there's 4 Out of Ammo that's coming up and hasn't released yet, but here's 5
it's
tips
on
here.
it's on Vive already if you have a Vive.
Yeah, if you have a Vive. But otherwise, if you're waiting for his 5 tips for success when Out of Ammo comes out, use airstrikes in emergencies. An enemy at a choke point is a controlled enemy. It's always easier to repair something than build it anew, and a clear line of sight can make or break a defense. And it says, it never hurts to fire a few rounds yourself. So there you go. That's some fun tips from
I
Zen
love how they're
Studios.
like airstrikes are the panic button.
Yeah, basically.
Oh shit!
So
call in the helis.
I think it's cool that they did that though, like, because they're talking about old games or maybe giving you some advice if you're struggling with it, and they're talking about the new game and like what you get free with it, and also some tips before it even comes out. Like, let's have more of that, please, VR world. Let's spread the love and help people out a little bit, because some VR games are hard as fuck.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
good
I haven't
Switch
played
games you
Castle
can do
Storm, actually. I don't know. I don't know if it's my thing or not. But moving on, the Exorcist VR has a release date officially. We've been monitoring this game for a long, long time. It is an episodic game. There's 5 complete episodes. Right now, 3 have been released, or the third one is about to be released, I think. And basically, it's obviously based on The Exorcist, the movie or the franchise, TV show, whatever. The Exorcist franchise.
Is that from that?
Huh?
I'm Watching You. Is that from Exorcist?
I don't think so.
Exorcist is Spinning Head, or Spinning Head, Spinning Girl.
Spinning Head, Spinning Girl is
Cool.
Exorcist. Yeah. Stabbing yourself in the crotch with a crucifix is Exorcist.
Yeah, I've never done that.
There you go. Nor have I. So apparently, from people that have played it so far, especially Vive owners, they've said that it's really, really creepy and really a decent, not like a one-on-one contender with Resident Evil, but up there in the scare factor. So I'm really excited for it. I love The Exorcist, all the movies, all the TV shows, all that stuff. So I'm super pumped for it. January 2018, it's coming to PSVR. They haven't said exactly when in January, but first month, this month, it should be coming to PSVR.
Do you feel like if it's January, you'd have a day?
Yeah. But I mean,
considering it's this month.
Someone found this on a foreign Brazilian blog that they announced it, so you know it is what it is. But we're gonna get the first 3 episodes released at the same time for PSVR, and then I think they said 4 and 5 will be basically simultaneous release between Vive and PSVR. Crows, and Squanch Games release "Who's That in the Tree" song. Go ahead and click that, and because I want you to hear a small portion of this, and I'll kind of put it in the background when it plays. But yeah, this is the song from those guys. Turn her up a bit.
Hello? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that tree guy? Where are you? You shouldn't be in this place.
Ready?
Who's that in the tree? Who's that in the tree? Who's that in the tree? Who's that in the tree?
So, Crows, and Squanch Games.
Is that all it is?
Mostly. There's raps in there too, but yeah, I mean, it's funny. So those guys made a little song to go with their Game Accounting Plus. It's cool. I like it. I think it's cute. And I also think that it's a kind of a just builds on the cult status of a game like Accounting Plus, which kind of like Portal. You know, Portal had the "I'm Alive" or "I'm Still Alive" song or whatever.
I've never played Portal. I own both Portals, and I would absolutely love it. Just never have played it.
There's a song they play at the end when it's Gladios's voice singing "I'm Still Alive," which is kind of like a joke at the ending of the game. But yeah, so it became like a cult classic song with the game, and I don't think that's going to be a cult classic song by any means. But I do think it's cute that they did that. So and those guys are really nice guys, so that's cool. Sky Climbers devs released new footage with the end of the year update. So Sky Climbers devs have been working on Sky Climbers for a little bit of a while now, adding additional content, and the developers released it's kind of a video of random sort of stretches of the locale that you're going to be in, but then they're actually talking over it and talking about the progression of the game and kind of the area that you're looking at this time and that kind of stuff. It's
Hestforth.
Yeah, the
is
winds
where
of Hestforth.
The hero's journey begins, located in the high Lithan Mountains.
Yeah, if you've seen anything on Sky Climbers so far, you know it looks relatively interesting. We're all kind of like waiting just to see how it pans out, but so far so good.
Holy capital letter,
there you go.
caps lock.
And then let's see here. The message that they actually said was, "Hi r/PSVR. We're doing a follow-up to our last post because of all the interest it previously generated. We wanted to update you on what we have been up to. We have applied to be PlayStation partners and soon hope to be on the PSVR platform. In the meanwhile, we are available on PC for the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift. Also, due to the multiple suggestions made to us during the previous post, we created a Patreon page. If you're interested in following us or supporting us, you can now do so through Patreon, which is patreon.com/Sky Climbers." So there you go. If you want to jump in on that and help that game reach development, then feel free. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I'm looking forward to that game. Another very similar game in nature, To the Top. The devs finally broke their silence on that, and they've confirmed that they are in the polishing process for Sony. So someone emailed them asking what's up, and they said, "Hey there, thanks for following up. We are working on the PSVR version now. It is up and running currently, but we need to go through the process of refining it and making sure it passes Sony's rules. So we are hard at work, and we will announce a date in the near future. Take care." Very exciting news for sure.
Do you remember what those Sony rules are?
Don't be shitty.
No.
90 frames per second, all that kind of stuff. Right?
Sony allows shitty games on all the time.
But you have to. It has to not make you sick.
No frame drops. Yeah. Has to run at 90 hertz, like you said. and a couple other technical things. But it's good that they have high standards. It makes me happy. Probably sucks for devs.
It does, from what I get, because that's not even the last group. In fact, the next piece of news follows directly on from that. But yeah, you're right. It's nice that there is a
standard
that
there.
Sony have like some standards.
At least when it comes to technical standards.
Not so much in indie games, but definitely for VR games. They
Well,
know how fucked up
they have
that
technical standards, not necessarily content standards.
True that. So Sculptor VR is delayed due to, in fact, failing Sony's certification. So someone on Twitter, Isaac Noe, asked Sculptor VR basically if it's coming to PSVR, and Nathan over there at Sculptor VR said, we recently submitted a new build to Sony and failed to pass certificate for some good reasons. We're working on it and will hopefully release in Q1. So at least they got good news out of it, I guess. He seems pretty positive about the fact they failed their certification, saying for some good reasons. So I guess maybe Sony taught them something about VR, and maybe it's going to be a more refined experience than what it is currently on HTC.
Or they had a bug that they didn't know existed.
Or that, yeah. So yeah, Sculptor VR, it's kind of in the vein of Cool Painter, which is the painting game that's going to be coming out relatively soon. But of course, it is about sculpting instead, so you can make 3D models in space and that kind of stuff. Kind of cool.
Space.
So Rec Room has recently been in the habit of tweeting out new rooms and things that are featured rooms.
I feel like I should do this.
What?
Make a rec room.
Sure. Why not?
Because there's some cool ones. I saw this go through, and there's the Star Wars ones and the other ones.
So the featured rooms for, I don't know if it's like this week or whatever, but it says, to visit the latest featured rooms, you go to your watch and then custom rooms. You can then browse or search for featured rooms, where we have placed doors leading to each of the rooms featured this week. Hoth is one of the featured rooms. That is a Star Wars one, and it is built to look somewhat like Hoth. Basically, it's like a snowy field, but it has like AT-ATs in there.
There's a Yoda.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. There's also Pokemon as well. There's one room that has a bunch of Pokemon, and it's called Poke Park. You have a, what's that guy called? The singy little guy.
Jigglypuff?
Jigglypuff. You got Charmander.
Singy little guy.
You got a little Spritey guy. Magikarp. Geodude.
The Sprouty guy is oddish, by the way.
And there's an X-Wing as well in the Star Wars ones. I thought that was cool. But it's, we love the Rec Room devs. We love Sean over at Anti-Gravity, and those guys always do stellar work. Their game is fucking awesome.
Yeah, we're all excited. Berchand's back from tour.
Yeah.
We're all hoping to jump back in at some point. I love
Everyone that's played it so far has been like, it's fucking great. Like,
hang out for a show tomorrow and see where it lists on my top 5 VR games this year.
Correctamundo. All right, so you guys remember that game Special Forces VR, and it had that name change that Keegan hated, where they changed it to Zero Killed. You can now sign up for the beta for Zero Killed by following the link in the description below. Otherwise, it is zerokilledgame.com/beta. But yeah, I mean, Zero Killed looks like the
doing it right now.
I would give a shot to, but I don't know necessarily if it's going to turn out great. I'm kind of like tempered hopes on that game.
It's the name. It's
but
all
I'll tell
about
you
the name,
a
Tom.
game that I don't have tempered hopes for. I have very high hopes, and I'm really like crossing my fingers this one comes out good. And I'll tell you why I'm like half confident and half sad about
I need to confirm my email.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
Gosh.
Alvo is being currently touted as basically Counter-Strike in VR. Everything about this game looks incredible except for one thing: the developer's previous game, which is Quiz Night VR. Do you remember that game? We played it like once and never touched it again.
Yeah, the one I was
you
really
were
good
way
at.
better at it than I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Quiz Night VR, or like Tonight Quiz Night, or what, I don't know what the fuck it was. It was okay, but it was definitely, as we like to say on the show, janky. So I'm really hoping that they learned a lot of lessons from there and that Alvo comes out great. It is such an awesome looking title. If it takes advantage of full aim usage, it could easily be the
Speaking of Alvo, they literally just emailed us.
Oh, cool.
Saying, "Hey, we're aware of you."
That's exciting.
So, like, I went to go verify my email for the beta, and
Alvo really reached back.
Alvo responded to us.
Cool. So Alvo, if you want to get on that beta, it is on mardonpol.com. That's MARDONPOL.com /Alvo. That is ALV. VO. So you may want to hop on board those 2 links there. Again, if you want easy access, just click the links in the description below. But get yourself signed up for the beta. Of course, we want to help support the VR community as much as possible, and those guys are the ways to do it. Jump into the beta, tell them the bugs, make it better. So I'm really hoping.
Also, play Rec Room.
Yeah, I'm really hoping I get a beta link to Alpha. I would totally rock that shit. All right. More Chainsmokers-style VR music video VR experiences are on the way from Sony. So they have this special little website that they've kind of started, and it's called lostinmusic.sony. And basically, I can't open it from my phone. You can probably open it from there since I have to rotate. I'm not going to rotate for you. But basically, they said that the Chainsmokers Paris VR thing went so well that they really, really, really want to release more. So they're basically working with artists that are on the Sony roster, and they are kind of working with them to make these special VR experiences.
Get ready to rethink reality as we continue the Lost in Music adventure in the world of virtual reality. The experience will be released in early 2018 and will be exclusive to Sony PlayStation Store.
So it sounds like they may even be making like an app for it, which would be really exciting if they do that.
What is Lost in Music?
That's, I guess, the name of the
no, I clicked the link, What is Lost in Music?
Oh, gotcha. So, yeah, there's trailers and things. They'll be behind us, of course. But, yeah, Lost in Music is going to be an interesting part of 2018 where we can expect more music video experiences. And I don't know if you guys played the, like, Chainsmokers and everything, but it's cool. I mean, it's a nice, fun thing. And it's, like, optimized as well. So, you know, it's a good time. 360
videos are about to become more and more a thing as... so Final Cut Pro got an update recently that supports 360 videos natively, which is awesome. Adobe's not far behind. I have a couple buddies that work over there that has said, hey, we're aware that Apple has already released their shit. We're working on it. And then Avid, nobody cares about Avid, but...
someone cares about Avid.
The television industry cares about Avid, but nobody who's creative cares about Avid. But no, so I have a feeling there's going to be more and more of these things that are coming out because it's going to become more and more. It's going to become easier for people to make them,
right?
Especially 360 videos. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, the thing about Chainsmokers, I don't remember if it was free or if it was like $2. I think it was like $2, but it's. I
got it for free.
It's a nice addition to something you already have. Everyone wants more content. Games are only a part of the content that VR has to offer, as we all know if you've tried like a 3D Blu-ray or anything. So I'm really excited for these experiences to start branching.
Can you watch? So if I watch a 3D Blu-ray,
yeah,
and say you're watching 3D Blu-ray, and you're watching with your wife. I don't know why you'd watch it with a headset on if your wife's there, but you can. Your wife is watching on the screen. Is the screen your eyeballs, or is the screen like a share screen?
I have no idea.
Like, could she watch it? Could she watch it with you?
If anything actually shows up on the.
It would, because it shows what's in the headset, but it's probably the
normal version of the
wiggly.
I don't think it's wiggly. I don't think it would be. I think it'd be flat.
I would love to see.
We'll find out.
We need to find that one out. I've never tried. I've never watched a 3D Blu-ray movie with somebody with a VR headset on because A, I find that weird, and B, it's very antisocial.
We'll make it happen, and we'll let you know how it goes. So this is my weekly make you convinced that VR is doing better than ever segment, and it is that the Sony devs pick their top gaming moments of 2017, and out of the top 10, 5 of them are, no surprise, VR related. So there you go. So here's the list. You mean like
besting bosses in Neo?
That's one. All right, so here's the list. There's like 20, but I'll just do the top 10. There is actually more VR in the second half, but this is the top 10 for Sony devs. Besting bosses in Neo is, in fact, one of their number ones in there. I've not played Neo, but I'm told it's basically like Samurai Dark Souls, so not really my thing, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. Terrifying Friends in PSVR is number 2, and that's referring specifically to Until Dawn Rush of Blood, and, of course, the other stuff as well that's out there, but mostly that. Being Scared Senseless by Resident Evil 7. Mostly horror experiences so far, but yep, that was definitely one of the more incredible moments. Here's another one. Piloting an X-Wing, which I think... I still haven't done that yet, you know? You did that, right?
I wish...
Did you like that?
I wish Star Wars would just... Star Wars VR just makes total sense.
Right.
Even if it's not a big experience. Like, I want more than just one
Find a way to fuck it up.
Well, no. Well, EA won't have the license forever.
Yeah.
So, if Disney comes out and says, hey,
Disney, give it to
we're gonna go work with London Studios because we partnered with Sony, or what's that other fuck, I can't think of the name.
Supermassive.
Yeah. Give it to them and let them do something. I mean, could you imagine? Again, it doesn't have to be large. Give me like a $15, $20 thing with like multiple missions and just let me rotate through them.
Give me a fucking lightsaber. That's
like,
all I want.
Well, see, I want a spaceship. I want to fly a TIE Fighter, an X-Wing, and a Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
Give me that, and then we'll have the ground stuff where you can have your light. The problem I have with lightsabers is the accuracy might be a little bit trickier.
Well, you know, maybe when we get better tracking.
Yeah.
Completing Crash Bandicoot.
You mean
number 4.
PlayStation Moves 2, 2.0?
And then trying PSVR at home. As you know, Sony came out with their whole thing where they were basically shipping these units to people's houses for a 2-week trial period, and of course, they did really fucking well. Pretty much everyone that did it bought one afterwards when they realized just how good it was. Experiencing the world of Skyrim in a whole new way. Number 6, that's Skyrim VR. Again, huge moment this year in gaming. Announcing and demoing Playlink. Now, we've both come to love Playlink and actually both really, really enjoy it and recommend it specifically for parties or when you have multiple friends around. But I think Playlink is a really neat idea. I think Sony has their head in the right direction, and I hope that more Playlink games come out in 2018.
For whatever reason, Playlink feels like it should be Nintendo.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I could feel
But I like that Sony's doing it because that's what I have.
Yeah.
But
and the aesthetic is very Nintendo.
Yeah.
Still being shaken by that Last of Us Part 2 reveal. That's right. Last of Us Part 2 is on the way.
In 2020, everybody.
We're all pretty excited about it. Releasing Nier Automata, which was a great little title this year, and then attending Final Fantasy 14 Fan Festival, was the 10th one. So yeah, I mean, you can see there are a whole bunch of VR mentioned in the top 10 moments for devs for Sony this year, and I think that's kind of neat. I think obviously it's Sony devs, so they're probably going to talk about VR, but genuinely, I think a lot of the most interesting gaming experiences for this year have to be attributed to VR just because of the new medium, just because it's kind of, this is the first time people have got to do Skyrim or Resident Evil or whatever in VR, so all of those moments are kind of equally as killer. But hopefully they can keep the momentum going into 2018. Thoughts?
I'm actually very excited for 2018. I know we were debating between two questions. One of us was most anticipated game for 2018, but I feel like for the first time in a little while, Sony has games that are coming out that A, I'm excited about for VR, and B, I know what I'm getting for VR that aren't the $15, $20 price range. I'm getting like big games that I care about. Like we talked about, you have Resident Evil, you have Farpoint. Those, I didn't like those experiences. It didn't really do much for me.
Well, it wasn't that you didn't like them. It was that you couldn't play them.
Well, yeah. I mean, Farpoint, I don't know if I really liked either because it just, I don't like first-person shooters that much. Like I have one usually at a time, and I go through those. But I'm super excited for the tactical aspect of was it Firewall?
Team?
No, Firewall.
Oh yeah,
Firewall's the one.
Firewall.
Yeah, that's the one like that I'm super pumped about. Like Bravo Team's cool, but Firewall kind of just blew me away.
I think Firewall is going to be a really fun stream.
It reminds me of Rainbow Six Siege, and you know how much, or The Division, you know how much I love those type of games. Yeah. So
I'm excited for Firewall
because I think Firewall would have perfect low commotion wise because you're going room by room.
Right.
So
I'm also kind of excited for, like I said, Alvo, but we'll see how that one turns out. Cool. So there's your news roundup for this week for PSVR and your sales. So we got 2 more parts of the show to go. Stick with us. The first is going to be, of course, our spotlight. So I was spoiled for choice this week. I had 4 games.
Pilot Wings in VR.
Yeah. So I did choose Ultra Wings, which, as Keegan succinctly put, is basically Pilot Wings in VR. But Ultra Wings was a massive surprise for me. I was not expecting that game to be as good as it was. It completely blew me away. Now, I have pretty high expectations for a lot of the games that I play in VR, like enough for me to want to talk about them anyway. And I got kind of lucky towards the end of the year, the fact that they had your Skyrims and your Dooms and all this other kind of stuff that came out. But normally I'm scraping the barrel for something kind of interesting to talk about. But no, this game blew my socks off. I am not a... No, they're back on now.
It's like, socks are on.
I'm not really a...
Those of you listening, I was staring at Tom's feet. Make sure socks are on.
I'm not really a pilot guy. Like, I don't play like Ace Combat. I don't play flight simulators. I don't enjoy those types of games in the flat universe. The thing that intrigued me about this was that all the footage that I saw of it was immersion. Okay, every time you have an immersive enough game in VR, regardless of what you're doing, it's going to be kind of fun. So I thought it would be kind of fun to fly this little single, joystick copter around and go through rings or whatever it might be. I just thought it would be cool to do that in VR. I was not expecting how cool it actually was. They treat it with a vast amount of kind of realism mixed in with the arcadey stuff. It's obviously arcadey. There's like levels where you're shooting balloons over volcanoes and that kind of stuff, and flying through rings. That's arcadey. But every time you get in your copter / plane thing, I don't know what the proper word for it is.
Your Ultra Wing.
Your Ultra Wing.
Well, there's only one you're in at a time.
You have to sorry, one wing?
No, you're only in one Ultra Wing. Ultra Wing is the name of the vehicle.
I don't think it is, but
I'm just saying, for argument's sake, it's the name of the vehicle.
all right, fair enough. Ultra Wing.
Quit arguing with me, Tom.
You're in an Ultra Wing. So you have to you sit down and then you have to flick this switch to get the fuel going, and then you flick this other switch to unleash something. I don't even know what it is. Then you have to press this button and hold it for a few seconds in order to fire up the engines. Then you have to pull down on the throttle and then push it up to get momentum.
You're probably releasing your brakes on the second switch. You're probably releasing brakes on the second switch.
And then you have your joystick, and of course you have to you get your momentum, and then as you start going towards the end of the runway, you have to gently lift it so you can feel your wheels coming up.
Do you know what the point of no return in taking off an airplane is, or air vehicle is?
75
Do you know what it's called?
miles per hour?
No, dude, definitely not. Those things land at 200 miles an hour. It's called V1.
Okay.
Which is, I don't know what V1 stands for, but basically at that point you have less runway than it takes to stop.
Oh,
so once if you're ever in a cockpit and you hear the phrase V1, you're in for the ride no matter what happens. That's why a lot of planes, when they take off, crash on takeoff, because they're past a point of no return. So even if something happens, they've got to go and figure it out once they get in the air. Little fun fact.
Yeah, that is a cool fact. I like that, actually.
So next time you're playing, when you hit the point of no return, you go V1.
I will yell.
So the phrase is V1 rotate. So it's V1 we got takeoff point. We can't stop, and rotate means we're taking off.
Cool.
So it's V1 rotate.
I learned something today.
I clearly like my pilot sims.
The simulation level of it is actually kind of cool, and that's the part that I really enjoyed, was that I felt like I was almost learning to fly this little biplane just from repetition, from having to do it over and over, and then learning to land as a whole other fucking kettle of fish. Obviously, I felt a lot of the times my stomach dropping as I was landing. I was like, oh my god, am I gonna pull it off? I'm too close to the end of the runway. I didn't really know how to turn on the brakes and stuff, so I did a lot of skirt to the side before I hit the end of the runway. It worked. But the nice part about Ultra Wings is that there's a lot to do. So there's multiple islands that have landing bases on them, I suppose, and in each of these landing bases is a computer that has several different missions that you can do. And the missions vary from simple stuff like going through rings, to landing a particular way, to shooting balloons, to using your planes, guns. They're all kind of unique. One of my favorite ones is you have to take a picture. So you have this iPad docked next to you, which shows the most of your statistics and stuff when you're in flight. So you have to hold it with the move controller and then swap the other hand to the stick, and you're trying to hang out the window and take a picture of something that's on the screen in the perfect position, otherwise it won't let you take it. And with the gun, again, it's one-handed. You have to actually pull the gun out, and to reload it, you do the whole Terminator thing where you just kind of flick it and then it reloads, and then you can shoot and you flick it. But you have to do this all one-handed, so the balance is kind of crazy and fun. You can change how easy it is to bank with your wings and stuff. So it's really an in-depth little game. Graphically, it's not mega impressive, but it's definitely not a slouch. It's kind of just Windlands, I think. That's the game I can compare it to the most. It's got that kind of Windlands vibe to it, where everything's a little cartoony. The sea doesn't really look like the sea, but it's the sea type of thing. And but most of all, just the immersion. The immersion level of that game is second to none. And I think with a flight stick, it would be even better with a HOTA. But yeah, I was blown away by how much I enjoyed that game. I went back to play it several times after, not just for the review material, but just because I liked it. And I kind of got this kick out of taking off and landing.
That was me with Poi, where I went back and kept playing it.
Yeah, and it was it just was really well done. The game that I compared.
How many times did you crash? What happens when you crash? Have you crashed yet?
I don't think I did.
I need you to crash at some point and tell me what happens, how they handle it. I assume it just goes black.
I think it just restarts. Yeah.
Well, there's got to be some sort of black screen.
Yeah,
you can't
I would
just,
assume
pop
it goes black. I know you can do barrel rolls and shit. Well, not barrel rolls, but you can do tricks and stuff, loop the loops and stuff. So I mean, I could definitely crash in the sea, see what happens. But the game that it reminds me of the most is actually Headmaster, which is kind of weird to say, but the way that it's the way that it pans out more so than the gameplay, right? So Headmaster, a very simple game at its core. It is basically just a bunch of levels that you go through and try to get 3 stars on each level, but there is an overarching story, and you're kind of progressing as you go along. same principle basically. There's like a cork board full of stuff, and you can like get new planes and like get new landing areas. The computer is like where you choose your missions, but it's all very simplistic. It's just poking things. You basically have 3 gestures that you can make. You have the grip for your wheel. You have like a point, which is kind of weird. Like you sort of extend your finger so you can flick switches and stuff, which is kind of bizarre. And actually, I think it's just 2. So there you go, just those 2. But it's so much fun, and I really, really can't recommend it enough. It's $25 in the store. I had a great time with it. As a non-flight game fan, I still would recommend it to people that are in my shoes that maybe never usually play flying games. The flying is like your least favorite part of a normal game, just for the immersion level and just for the kind of feeling of like, oh, your stomach dropping when you're banking and when you're landing, like that sense of awe. And the game and the games that are in there, like shooting balloons and stuff like that, are all really fun. So yeah, really highly recommended. I actually was very, very impressed with Ultra Wings VR. That's my spotlight.
I'm looking at the blog here.
Sure.
They had a blog post a couple weeks ago. They increased the render resolution on PS4 Pro, so it is optimized for PS4 Pro, and frames per second is 90 versus standard PS4. They said it still looks good, but it's 60 frames per second on the standard PS4.
Yeah. Was that 90 per eye?
No, there's only one screen on the PSVR.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forget. So yeah, so Ultra Wings VR, worth a pickup, $25. Do it.
Because if it's 90 per eye, that'd be 180, and that'd be insane.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that. I guess
that's what Vive is.
That's probably what it is.
Actually, Vive I think can go up to 100.
That's why the field of view is shorter, right?
Yeah. That's also why it's a bit, in my opinion.
So you want question 2, right?
Question number 2. Because
I behind the scenes, I usually have multiple choice questions, and I don't decide which one to do until we start.
Till we get there.
So I had a nice, easy, happy question. But after our fight yesterday on Indie Please Add Details, why not get into it again with something that we know that we're kind of a little differing on? Not a whole. I don't know exactly how different we are on this. We might be more similar than you think. But here's the question
I'll
for
still
this
yell
week.
at you. Don't worry.
Is it good or bad that more and more games are including a VR mode that doesn't really need it, or that don't really need it? So an example that I gave was like Gang Beasts, but also stuff like Tekken 7, those kind of games where it absolutely feels like a tack-on, like Senran Kagura, Peach Beach Splash. Like it feels like something that the game could have easily lived without. Are they tagging them on there just to make a quick buck, or because Sony is asking them to, or because they think they can? Like, is it a good thing or a bad thing that games are doing this? Go.
I think it's bad, and it goes back to my argument that I do constantly of quality. I think Sony has a quality problem, not necessarily a technical quality problem. It has a content quality problem of... And the example I'm going to use is Tekken 7. Because Tekken 7 is basically panned as a horrible VR experience that nobody wants to play. If you buy
I don't think it's horrible necessarily. I just think it doesn't really add anything to it.
So, if you have Tekken... Say you own Tekken 7, you get a PSVR. You're a big Tekken 7 fan. You're like, oh, I want to play Tekken 7 in VR. You hop in, it's shitty. That gives you a bad taste about what VR is going to be.
That's true.
So if that's your first experience, like, oh, maybe this isn't that good, versus like us that played. I still think everybody should start with fucking PSVR Worlds. Period. That's where you should start. Doesn't matter when you bought the headset.
I'm debating changing my starting game to Accounting Plus, just because I think it's so goofy and fun.
Well, I like PSVR World because it has different types of games you can do.
That's true.
So because the Accounting Worlds or Accounting Plus has a lot that goes on that if somebody that doesn't normally play games may get lost.
Fair.
But no, I think it's one of those things where it actually can hurt the unit as a whole if they just tack it on. If they do things that are not well done. That being said, I've also been a huge proponent of first-party IPs having things put in, but as long as it's done right. So like, I've not played the Tomb Raider experience, but I've heard it's fantastic. I heard it's one of those things where like, was it added on? Yes. Did it change the game fundamentally? No. Did it add something to it? Yes. Did it feel like it's like a value add proposition?
Yeah, because it was kind of a separate part of the game.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, so with like Gang Beasts or Tekken 7, like you're still playing the normal game just in VR.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing that I was kind of, because I think like if you add on like X-wing mission or whatever, that's about, like you said, it's a value add. There's no one that can really complain about that. But I think if you're tacking on a VR mode to a game, that's the actual game. So I guess Senran Kora doesn't
Like even to me, Bound doesn't need to be a VR game. I love Bound. I think it's a fantastic game.
But that's
but to me,
juice,
to me, it's not necessary. It's one of those games that like it didn't work well initially.
No, true.
Before they did the update. Now that they've done the update, it's a lot better. But Bound is one of those games like I would prefer not to play it in VR because of the way it functions and what it is. Versus like to me, the only time you really need like a God mode camera is like that tanks game, League of War. Is that what it's called?
League of War VR Arena.
That's it.
Yeah.
That one. Because that makes sense. Because you're looking down at the table, or chess. Chess in VR makes sense. You're looking down at the table. You're playing God mode that way, and like even. Which is weird because I like Marvels, but even Marvels at time felt like the VR was in the way of things versus actually adding to it. And I've always been one of those people, like I said, quality-wise, I question why is this game in VR? Does it do anything to it other than make it sound cool or sell it because it is VR versus standalone? It's like Marvels by itself probably wouldn't sell nearly as well as Marvels in VR,
right?
Because it is VR.
That's the whole experience.
But do I wish they had done it slightly differently? Probably. Do I think Marvels is a bad game? No. Do I like that game? Yes. But I just feel like we're going to get to the point, and I use this example a lot, and I used it yesterday on the show, of the snowball effect. So one person tacks something on, you tack something on, and then you have a bloat show going on, and you don't know how to wade through the shit to get to the good stuff.
But the other
you got to get to the toilet water at the bottom.
Counter argument to that is that if you're buying Tekken 7, it's unlikely you're buying it just for VR. You're not paying extra for the VR. Like if they make you pay, like Dirt Rally, right? Dirt Rally was, what was it, $12, $13 to buy the VR update. And, you know, and like for something like that, like, yeah, if I'm paying for this VR update, it better be fucking good. And in Dirt Rally's case, it was good.
But my thought is if you're paying $60 for that game, you play it in VR, you get turned off from it, who's like... That is
detrimental. But also, like,
there's no...
I get more out of some of those games than I think you do. I think, like, for example, Lost Bear. So Lost Bear, your big complaint about that was that you think like it didn't need to be, right? It didn't need to be in VR.
The only thing that did in VR was the controls, which I thought was really cool. Other than that, it didn't do enough of that to make it
I thought that
necessary in VR.
The immersion of being in this box world things would the theater where things would like actually interact with you from the game, like if there's bees in the game, like one might come and buzz in front of you while you're playing. I thought that was like, that's cool. That actually adds an element to the game, in my opinion. Bloody Zombies is just like an extra plane is all it is. Like it's a 2D fighting game, it's a side scroller, so really what do you fucking do in VR? So they just kind of add this kind of Z space that like, and they tilt it a little bit, and it feels a little bit more fun and interesting with that Z space in there than it would do without it. And you feel like you can actually look around some of the things on the street and kind of like, so that extra angle like level to it, and the fact that you can kind of feel more a part of the game, I thought was really fun. Star Child, the demo for Star Child, again, that's the kind of thing, like, it's a 2D platformer. You don't have to have VR for that, but the fact that VR is there makes that platforming and those worlds so much more alive because of the depth and things like that they can add to it. So I'm kind of like, I'm on the fence. I feel like there's certain things that just don't need it at all, like Tekken definitely being one of them, but other things where it does enhance the gameplay and they're not asking for extra money. So you feel like, you know, it's really like, who are we to judge what someone's going to enjoy and what they won't? I'd love to know if there's people out there that have played the Tekken 7 VR and actually liked it, because I've not played it, so I feel like I find it hard to judge that. If it's just Tekken 7 with like extra level of Z space, I don't see what's so bad about it. Like if you want to play like that, then play like that. But I don't think anyone was expecting it to be like first person mode Tekken or anything. So
and a lot of times when I think of stuff is like, and it kind of comes from the games I play. I play a lot of the immersive games, so the job simulators, the Werewolves Within, Star Trek, these kind of things that tend to use the moves. And because I think moves as of right now are probably the best way to play games, even though they've got their faults. They're not great But it's when it comes to immersion, though, I think moves give you more immersive experience than a DualShock.
Yeah.
DualShock handles certain things way better than moves, mainly movement.
It depends
which
on
is
the
ironic.
gaming. If my gaming experience is worse for using these 2 lumps of plastic, then I'm going to use the DS4.
Yeah.
If it's improved by it, like Ultra Wings, like I could never play Ultra Wings with the DS4, even though it is possible.
Yeah. Well, that's like when I played Star Trek the first time. I played with DualShock. I was like, this is garbage. I played with the moves. I was like, oh, this game is great. Like it literally was a flip on me. But like, to me, it's one of those things where, again, adding to the experience, jumping into this experience of anything 2D. If I feel like I'm watching a TV in VR, there's no point to it because I'm like, I could just watch my TV in real world without having set up this whole fucking kit. But like things like Dirt Rally is amazing. The other racing one,
Trackmania.
That's it. Trackmania Turbo was a fun experience, and that was even third and first person stuff. Like that was cool that they did that. Like
they really went to town on the VR stuff.
I think that stuff like that is really cool because it's a different experience to how you would play the game. I feel like a lot of the times these people just tack on something and don't make the experience that, like you said, the Z Space is cool, but is it really that cool if you're going to choose between playing that in VR and playing something else? Probably not. And that's kind of where I stand on this is if it's not going to make you play that game in VR, there's no point in having that game in VR. If I'd rather play the game flat, as you call it, I don't think it should be in VR.
So let's say this. Gang Beasts is the one that I originally used as an example. We haven't played that yet.
No,
we have it, and we're excited to stream it at some point. But Gang Beasts is essentially like an old school wrestling game, right? It's sort of top down. You're walking around a 3D environment, and you're like throwing people around the place and dropping off buildings and things like that. Don't you feel like if you had the VR setup and you could actually like, so you're playing on a rooftop, you can only see that on your TV when you're playing like just the rooftop part. But if you have VR on, you might be able to see the whole city. And when you throw someone off a roof, you see him fling off into the distance. Like, would that be enough of a value?
I don't care because that's not part of the core gameplay.
No, but it's an extra level of immersion and depth, which might make it more enjoyable. Like,
but how often are you going to be looking at the other stuff? That's my thing. Is like I'd rather play. I mean, I can't speak for sure because I've not done it yet. But based on what I know of that, I'd rather focus on the arena where you're fighting, because that's where my attention should be all the time. And even in VR, 90% of my attention, maybe 95% of my attention will be in that spot. Will it look cool? Look around. Like, ooh, how many times do we put a VR headset on, look around, and that's it? And then from there, you go.
Right. And
you're in this window. That's kind of how I feel about it, because that game is not dynamic enough, probably in the background, to get my attention outside of what's going on the screen, because that's the main focal point. Is you're beating your friends up, you're beating up these people and throwing them off the edge. Like, that's cool. And that's what the game is versus seeing them fly around. Yeah, it'd be funny a few times. Like, it'd be great. But my other concern with that is camera angles. So if you're in control of the camera, it's a little bit harder to tweak it to get to the right spot. Because I hate more times than not when you're playing a game and you're like trying to look around a thing and you feel like you got to contort to get it to work properly. Versus if you're just playing flat, it's just the right stick, just wiggle it around,
right,
and you're fine that way. So that's my take on it. Would it add to it? Yeah. Do I think it's necessary? No. The reason being is I think the core gameplay is you're staring at that arena, wherever you are, fighting your friends, and then.
So ultimately, is it good or bad or neutral?
I think it has potential to be bad.
You think it would do more harm than good?
It could do more harm than good in the early stages of VR. If VR has been out now just over a year, if say we were in iteration 2 of VR or 3 of VR, this is like 5 to 10 years down the road. I don't think it's as big of an issue. I think right now, though, because I've said from the get-go, quality to me is something you've got to make quality experiences for people to buy the headset. And if you buy experiences and mom and dad don't know, it just says PSVR mode on the box, mom and dad buy that. It's a shitty experience. Kid's not going to play the VR. Mom and dad be like, why did I spend so much money on this and not buy another game for their kid? That's my concern. If it wasn't the early adopter era, I don't think it's as big of a deal. But I think, again, quality over quantity early on is always a big thing for me. Later on down the road, fine. At that point, like, I expect shovelware. But right now, I just think we haven't gotten to the point where PlayStation can prove that VR games are going to be true quality when they put them out. I still think there's a mixed bag on what you're getting every week. Something could be magnificent, something could be shitty. You don't know really till you play it, and that's kind of my concern, that if we go down that path, it'll just get worse.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. Fair comment. I'll take it.
that's right, you take it.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that these little sort of add-on experiences are good or bad for VR as a whole? Do you think it's more unhealthy for the newcomers to the headset to play these and kind of maybe potentially get put off of the idea? Or do you think people have enough either common sense to know that they're not like a full-on VR experience, or that they would get something out of it per se? So which way do you lean? And let us know why, of course, in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys and all of your opinions on all of our stuff that we talk about. So that's it. That's Codename Morpheus 21. Glad to be back in the basement.
Still chilly.
Glad it's fucking freezing.
My toesies are cold.
I'm still so cold.
Remember, what are they called? The peekaboos? Is that what I called it?
Peekaboos, yeah. Remember the peekaboos? Don't hit any
Remember-
coffee
yeah,
tables.
don't hit coffee
We
tables.
learned that's bad. But yeah. So,
No, it wasn't peekaboos. It's the Pixies.
I think
I
it
don't
was
know.
peekaboozies.
Was it peekaboozies?
Something like
I don't know. We can go back and watch this. You guys can go and find it.
So that's been Codename Morpheus 21. Next week 22. And thank you so much again for your continued support in our channel in general. We are hoping 2018 is going to be a big content year for us. I think we're kind of looking at various things in terms of providing more and more VR, more and more indie, and of course more and more streams too. And VR should be a big part of that as well. So we love
Also,
you guys.
I do want to say, stream-wise, 2018 is the year of Twitch for streams, and we're gonna put them up on YouTube. So
Yeah.
twitch.tv/level2gamersstl is where they're gonna be. There's a
Gonna
couple.
try a thing.
There's a couple reasons I would like to try that, as I've talked to you about. But yeah, twitch.tv/level2gamersstl, or you can watch them archived on youtube.com.
Collectamundo.
So
So that's it for this week in VR. Let us know all of your thoughts and feelings, and if you just picked one up for the holidays and you really like the show as a first time listening, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And as always,
welcome to the second level.
bye.
Ain't no